Hi guys, happy Thursday. Coach Abby back at it again with another trainer tip. Today we are going to be talking about hydration versus dehydration. So the first thing we want to look at is the question of why is water so important? And first off, it makes up the majority of 60% of our body. So it's a vital component for our cells. It helps us regulate our body temperature. It helps a lot in digestion. It allows us to transport nutrients throughout our body from one cell to another, and it helps lubricate our joints. So, looking specifically at digestion, water makes up the base of our saliva. And saliva is what starts our digestive process in the mouth with chemicals and enzymes of breaking down the food that we are putting into our mouth. Water also helps the body process soluble fibers, and it also allows our body to make hydrochloric acid, which is another term for stomach acid. And this is what's going to help us digest food within the stomach using those acids. Water also helps with our metabolic reactions. It helps with the breakdown of those things that we're putting into our mouth, like carbs, fats, and proteins. And it also helps us deliver those nutritional contents of those fats, carbs, and proteins, such as the minerals and vitamins. My favorite is the joint protection that water allows our body to have. Water is used to lubricate the joints so that they are not rubbing against one another. Water also helps serve as a shock absorber. So, for instance, the compression we put sometimes on our spine via jumping or squatting, water helps serve to absorb that pressure and absorb that shock in areas like the vertebrae. Water also keeps our body tissues moist, which is then going to help in the development of strong joints. Another function of water is to regulate our body temperature. Water allows us to discharge heat via sweat, which is what we use to cool the skin most oftentimes during exercise. But if you're like me, you sometimes are sweating random times throughout the day just to cool down your body temperature. So the next thing to look at is where we can get water from. The first one, the obvious choice, is just pure water. This is drinking out of a water bottle. This is drinking out of a water fountain. This is getting filtered water from the store. Another way we can get water is through carbonated or seltzer water, like our LaCroix. I'm not sure if I know any other brands. That's just my pick. But it's important to think about the bubbles in carbonated beverages. I know that those can cause some swelling in the stomach, which may give you a false sense of fullness, which may mean that you're not drinking enough liquids throughout the day. Another place we can get water are through electrolyte specific or sports drinks, such as Gatorade or Powerade. And lastly, a good place we can get water from our food would be our fruits and our vegetables. So, example fruits might be watermelon or strawberries, blueberries, things that contain a higher amount of water. And same goes for vegetables. So, cucumbers, lettuce, zucchini, celery, other vegetables that again have a higher percentage of water content. Water absorption can occur anywhere from 5 to 120 minutes from the time that water is taken in to the time that it's absorbed into the bloodstream. This can be affected by a couple things, including food. So, if you're somebody that drinks water only while you're eating, you're less likely to absorb that water as fast as someone who's drinking water outside of a meal. If you're drinking an increased amount of water, just know that not all of that will be absorbed. So, for someone who's trying to maybe catch up on the amount of water that they're drinking, if they're drinking 40 liters before bed, not all 40 liters are going to go and be used and absorbed. The water that's not used and absorbed will then be cleared out via urine. Other things to note for water absorption is that we need to make sure we have enough salt. Now, this is a balancing act, but salt helps us retain water in our cells. Something else that helps us absorb water is fiber. On the other hand of absorption, we also have water loss. It's important to note that we are always losing water, and a normal adult loses 2 to 3 liters or 67 to 101 ounces per day. We lose water through sweating, urinating, vomiting, diarrhea, specific diets, high alcohol intake, stress, and potentially through crying. So, with water loss, sometimes this leads to dehydration, and this occurs when the body does not have the proper amount of fluids it needs to function. This could be just from too much fluid loss. It could be from not enough water being ingested into our system, or it could be a combination of both. So, dehydration can be caused by stress, like I mentioned, specific diets such as low carb diets or low calorie diets, alcohol consumption, hormones, specifically during menstruation for women, diuretics, vomiting, and breastfeeding. Some signs of dehydration first depend on if it's mild or extreme. So, someone who is mildly dehydrated, they might have yellow or dark yellow urine. They might have an urge or an increased thirst. They can have tension headaches or migraines. They may feel sleepy. They may have dry mouth, dry skin, and they may experience dizziness. Someone with extreme dehydration might see an increase in their heart rate. They may be extremely exhausted. They may have extremely dark urine, or they may have stopped urinating in general. They may show signs of an increased body temperature or a fever. They may have seizures. You might see a dip in their blood pressure. They may be dizzy, which might affect their walking or their standing. They will lose elasticity within their skin, and they may end up going into shock. All right, guys, I'll leave you with this. Couple recommendations in terms of getting more water. One thing I like to do is I like to have my wake up water. So I make sure that it's cold and ready to go, whether it's right by my bedside table or ready to go in the fridge. You could also use an app or a timer to remind you to drink throughout a specific set amount of time. Maybe it's twice an hour. You could also include it as another part of a daily habit or routine. So, for example, keeping water in the car with you, and every time you leave your house, making sure that you drink some of that. Or if you're someone that works from home, maybe every time you get up from a chair or the computer, you have to drink X amount of water. I think another thing to think about is just consciously choosing water first, whether that's before your coffee in the morning or before you eat. And then my personal favorite is adding flavor. Get some everyday fit, splash a little bit of that in there, and make it taste however you want it to taste so that you're getting enough water throughout the day. All right, guys, just two more final thoughts. One, water has been shown in multiple studies to increase your mood and your overall mental health. And it has also been shown to help with recovery, whether that is recovery from physical activity or just overall stress. So, making sure we're getting our water is crucial to our day to day life. All right, guys, that is all for today. Happy Thursday. We will see you next week. And I'm just going to throw this out there. If you have any content or any questions that you'd like me to dive a little bit deeper into, let me know in class so that we can provide you the best value for Trainer Tip Thursdays moving forward.